In an office in the heart of the city, a group of people lay unconscious, wrapped in enormous bug cocoons. Suddenly, a massive insect stinger emerges and pierces one of the employees. This strange phenomenon began a few days ago. Cooper, running late for work, finds himself arguing with his dad on the phone. His father is fed up with Cooper always getting into trouble and calls him an embarrassment to the family name. As Cooper tries to convince his dad that he's not a loser, he narrowly avoids getting hit by a car, skillfully dodging it at the last moment. Finally, Cooper arrives at the office and quickly rushes to his desk, pretending to have been working for a while. However, his boss, Maureen, calls him into her office to play some recordings that prove Cooper's inappropriate behavior with clients. As a result, she fires him on the spot. Just then, a deafening sound reverberates through the building, causing everyone inside to pass out. Days later, the office is covered in bug cocoons, formed by giant insects that now roam the office, stinging their prisoners. When Cooper regains consciousness, he breaks free from his cocoon, only to vomit up some strange goo. Suddenly, a giant beetle attacks him, and in a panic, Cooper fights back until he manages to push it away. After taking a moment to calm down, Cooper spots Maureen trapped in a cocoon and rushes to her aid. When she wakes up, she too feels sick. Both Cooper and Maureen recall hearing the noise and passing out, but they have no memory of what happened next. Maureen also remembers that she was supposed to meet her daughter, so they both rush outside to check on the other people. The scene on the streets is no different. Everyone is trapped in large cocoons. They find Maureen's daughter, Sarah, cocooned inside her car. Cooper volunteers to help and quickly breaks her free. However, when Sarah wakes up, she misunderstands the situation and sprays gas into Cooper's eyes. Suddenly, a massive wasp swoops in and snatches Maureen, flying away with her. Sarah screams for her mother but can't reach her despite the burning sensation in his eyes. Cooper agrees to leave with Sarah, only to be surrounded by giant bugs. As Sarah moves away, she accidentally knocks over a garbage can and realizes that the bugs react to noise. She activates the alarm on her car, immediately drawing the attention of the creatures. The bugs swarm towards the vehicle, allowing the duo to escape safely. A few minutes later, they find themselves in a cafe, which is also filled with cocooned people. Sarah wants to help them, but Cooper is against it, pointing out the potential danger and the exhaustion of explaining the situation repeatedly. Suddenly, a man named Hugo grabs Sarah by the neck, and Cooper tries to defend her but ends up getting punched in the process. Another massive bug appears and attacks Cooper, but Hugo comes to the rescue, killing the creature. While the men are distracted, Sarah frees 6 people from their cocoons, including a police officer. The group decides to work together and discusses their next steps. Roger suggests leaving in his truck, but Sarah warns that the noise would attract more bugs. Ignoring her advice, Roger and PJ leave the group behind and get into the truck anyway. As Sarah predicted, the engine noise attracts giant beetles that promptly destroy the truck. PJ manages to jump out but breaks his leg in the process, and another out-of-control truck runs over him. Roger remains behind the wheel, and the beetles reach through the window, capturing him and carrying him away. Meanwhile, the rest of the group fights off the insects. In the chaos, the police officer is killed, and Hugo's father, Albert, gets stung in the back, leaving a strange mark on his skin. The remaining survivors take refuge in the nearest building and decide to assess the situation from the roof. They spot a mysterious red smoke in the distance and a massive swarm of wasps flying away from it. The group deliberates on their next move, and Cooper suggests going to his dad's house, as he is a former soldier with a bunker stocked with supplies. However, they are unsure of how to reach the house safely, considering the dangers outside. In a moment of realization, Li Chi waves her arms to test the bugs' reaction to sound, but they don't respond and fly away. This confirms that the bugs are blind and rely on sound to locate their victims. The group agrees that they need to gather more information about their enemy before making any decisions. They lure a beetle into a closet using a radio and quickly trap it inside. Li Chi, a scientist, suggests milking the beetle like a snake to study its venom, which disgusts the others, but they agree to help nonetheless. They manage to extract a sample of the venom without any injuries. While Li Chi studies the liquid, the group shares their experiences. They all have the same story, hearing the noise, passing out, and waking up to find themselves cocooned. Eventually, Lychee concludes that the bug's poison acts as a sedative. She also discovers a red gas, similar to the one they saw earlier, emitted by the bugs, but its exact nature remains unknown. The group decides to stay in the building for the night and leave for Cooper's dad's place in the morning, stopping at each team member's house along the way. Later, Cooper finds himself unable to sleep as he realizes that he recognizes Sarah's face but can't remember where he knows her from. He goes to the kitchen to find something to eat, but when he opens a box, normal bugs crawl out. Startled, Cooper drops the box, only to be surprised again by Cindy. Cindy, a TV worker, explains her plan to go to the studio to try and call for help. Cooper considers the idea but insists on returning for the others in the morning. However, Cindy reveals that she only wants to leave with him, which creeps Cooper out, causing him to cancel the plan. The next morning, the group is awakened by a loud noise coming from the closet. It appears that the beetle trapped inside is trying to escape and calling for help. Albert breaks into the closet and quickly kills it. The group agrees that it's time to leave, but Lychee decides to stay behind and wake up as many people as possible, believing they could help in the fight against the creatures. The team sets off, and as they walk, Cooper tries to talk to Sarah, but their conversation quickly devolves into a sarcastic exchange of insults. They arrive at Albert and Hugo's house, where Cooper accompanies them in the search for Hugo's mom. While waiting, Sarah discovers a note in her pocket with Cooper's phone number, which surprises her. Inside the house, they find Hugo's mother dead, and an enraged Albert grabs a gun before rejoining the others. Cooper tries to warn them about the noise attracting more enemies, but Albert ignores him. The group continues their journey and reaches Cindy's brother's house. In the yard, they find several people cocooned in a suspiciously organized line. Cindy's brother emerges from the garage, carrying another cocoon and revealing his transformation into a half-bug mutant. He immediately attacks the group, and in the chaos, Cindy pleads for them not to kill her brother. However, it becomes clear that he cannot be saved, and Hugo and Albert are forced to kill him with forks. The group rushes to Cindy's house to spend the night, and Hugo and Albert secure all the windows and doors. While Sarah tends to Cooper's wound, he tells her that if he ever turns into a mutant, she should run instead of trying to save him. He also admits that he had always fantasized about surviving an apocalypse with a girl like Sarah and repopulating the planet. The two bond over their conversation, especially when Cooper reveals that he recently lost his mother. Meanwhile, Albert explores the house and starts feeling unwell. He bumps into Sarah but doesn't mention his pain, instead asking her to take care of his son, just as she takes care of Cooper. Later that night, Cooper is awakened by Cindy, who is grieving for her brother. Seeking comfort, she undresses and tries to seduce Cooper, but he gently rejects her advances. Hurt, Cindy storms out of the room. The next day, the group continues their journey, noticing the mysterious smoke in the distance once again. Sarah believes it's coming from the bug's nest and wants to go there to find her mother, but Cooper convinces her that the chances of success are incredibly low. Just as they are discussing their next move, a swarm of bugs flies above them, prompting the group to remain silent and unnoticed. Feeling nervous, Cooper and Sarah hold hands, which doesn't go unnoticed by Cindy, who becomes jealous and starts screaming to attract the monster's attention. Despite the others' attempts to stop her, Cindy refuses to listen, and Albert is forced to shoot her. The bugs quickly attack, but Albert manages to shoot down several of them. However, one bug still grabs him and tries to carry him away. Cooper seizes the opportunity, grabs the gun, and frees Albert just in time. Another bug then targets Cooper, but Sarah rushes to his aid. Sarah manages to distract the bug, allowing Cooper to escape its grasp. However, the bug grabs Sarah instead and flies away with her. In the end, only Cooper, Albert, and Hugo remain. The trio continues walking until they reach Cooper's father's house. Ethan, Cooper's father, is in the garden, calling for his missing dog. Despite Cooper's warning, Ethan refuses to keep quiet. In the evening, Ethan gathers everyone and discusses their options. Suddenly, Albert loses a tooth, and before anyone can react, he begins transforming into a bug mutant, attacking Cooper. A fight ensues, and while Cooper tries to keep Albert distracted, Hugo is forced to shoot his own father. Hugo then breaks down, explaining that it was his father's dying wish. Unfortunately, the sound of the gunshot attracts more monsters, Ethan manages to kill one of them before the trio hides in a bedroom. On their way, they encounter Ethan's mutated dog, but Ethan distracts her with her favorite toy. Just as they think they're safe, a horde of giant beetles attacks. The trio runs for their lives until they reach the safety of the bunker. Now safe inside the bunker, they rest for the night. Cooper wakes up in shock, realizing that he had met Sarah before but couldn't remember where. During breakfast, Ethan informs them that there are no government messages on the radio, indicating that they can't rely on outside help. Ethan suggests planning a route to a safe place, but Cooper is tired of blindly following his father's orders and announces that he will go to the nest to rescue Sarah. Cooper asks his father for help, but Ethan refuses to join him. Hugo insists on coming along, but Cooper refuses, not wanting to put him in danger. Moments later, Cooper finds himself walking alone on the road when a man points a gun at him and arrests him. Cooper is thrown into jail with a Spanish-speaking cellmate. Fortunately, Cooper can speak Spanish and learns that the man was part of Leach's group, which failed to deal with the insects. To Cooper's surprise, his cellmate reveals that the vigilantes cleaning the streets believe that everyone will eventually turn into mutants. In the chaos, the man in the cell transforms into a mutant, but the stray bullets quickly take him down. Ethan and Hugo are brought to the police station by the vigilantes. Cooper explains that only people with bite marks turn into mutants, and when the vigilantes check Ethan, they discover that he has already been stung. A gunfight ensues, and as everyone defends themselves, Ethan turns into a mutant. The trio manages to escape the chaos and leave the station. The trio finds bicycles and rides together while Ethan explains how he was stung. He had freed the neighbor's dog from a cocoon, which attracted the bug's attention. As he fought them off, they managed to sting him. Eventually, they reach a cliff and spot the nest. Inside, Sarah is still searching for her mother and comes across a mutant child, who starts screaming. The noise makes Ethan feel sick, and he handcuffs Cooper to a tree before knocking out Hugo to protect them. Ethan bids farewell to his son and drops the handcuff keys for later before heading into the nest. Moments later, Hugo regains consciousness and frees Cooper. Together, they rush into the nest. Inside, Sarah mistakes Ethan for an attacker and stabs him in the hand. Ethan quickly introduces himself, and Sarah breaks down, admitting that she hasn't found her mother. Ethan and Sarah search for the Queen, but she is nowhere to be found. They suddenly realize that the Queen is on the ceiling, ready to attack. Ethan opens fire, but the Queen proves to be tougher than the other bugs. Cooper and Hugo hear the shots and rush to help. The Queen emits a painful, deafening sound, but Hugo, with his hearing problems, remains unaffected and throws explosives into the Queen's mouth just in time. Cooper also fires at the Queen, but Ethan starts transforming into a monster. Cooper, Sarah, and Hugo decide to flee. As they make their way to the exit, the explosives detonate, engulfing the nest in flames and knocking out the survivors. Some time later, Cooper wakes up in the hospital and discovers that Sarah and Hugo are safe outside. They hear birds singing instead of the screeching of bugs. Thinking it's finally over, the trio goes to the street and starts freeing people. Cooper and Sarah agree to go on a date, but their joy is short-lived as they spot something terrifying in the distance.